Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Inspire. My name is Shresht, and today I am seated with one of the most influential and successful businesswomen in Canada. She's the Executive Vice President of Shaw Media, Barbara Williams. Thanks for being here today, Barbara.
You're welcome, my pleasure.
How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you.
So let's get this started.
Okay.
So my first question for you is, what do you love most about your job?
Oh, I love being a part of an industry that I think influences the world, and I love the role I get to play in making choices about what we put out there for people to interact with.
Fabulous. And so the second question is kind of a little bit more personal. How are you as a student in university, in school?
I was a B student.
Okay.
I was not a knock 'em off the charts top academic winner, but I was a solid performer. My parents wouldn't have put up with anything else, I suppose. But I was decently successful, and I was moderately involved, but I would say school was a mean to an end for me, as opposed to school being something I embraced hugely in the moment. Am I allowed to admit that?
Yes, absolutely. No, you're encouraged to admit that. People feel better seeing things like that. And so, do you remember the emotions going through your mind as you were kind of exiting university? And did you know what was in store for you, or did you have any expectations going out there in career-wise?
I remember really clearly writing my very last exam here at the U of T of my undergraduate degree and thinking, finally, that's done.
Mm-hmm.
And then having no idea what I was going to do, like none. But I don't remember that panicking me particularly or worrying me particularly, and I had no vision of a future. I had no clue I would end up doing what I'm doing today. But I was just so ready to go and do something. And actually what I did do for those first few months was I invested in some career counseling. I did a bunch of aptitude testing. I did a whole bunch of other stuff, and got myself set up for the next wave, really, a little bit of work and going back to school for a master's degree, which really then set me on the path to this career.
And do you think the times have changed kind of, if you compare the university situation now, where people's paths are kind of more set in stone as they're in university? Do you think that kids are more challenged to kind of find their career path in university?
I do. I think young people today worry way more about it than I did.
Yeah.
I think there's a greater sense of urgency that somehow I have to know what I'm going to do, and I have to get at it, and I have to figure it out, and I have to, have it all planned out. I see my own kids who are, working at developing careers now themselves. I see them struggle with this. I think it's sort of too bad, but we've done this to young people somehow, and I don't know really quite how to unwind it. But I just sort of had confidence that somehow, of course, it would all work out, and I didn't sweat it the way I see young people challenged by it today.
So can you recollect one kind of defining moment or memory or person that you would want to attribute all your success to?
Yeah, so hard to ever boil it down to one, but for sure there were turning points in my career and people at those turning points that I can look back and say, wow, it just never would have happened if if timing and lighting hadn't all kind of worked out, There was a woman who actually was the first person to take me out of straight production and put me more on a bit of a management path. Decades ago now, but that was a turning point. Otherwise, my career might have really stayed in pure production, which would have been fun and interesting and great, I'm sure. But she turned me on to more of a management path, which is, a much clearer path that I've ended up on here. There were just some lucky moments of a career lining up with what's going on externally in the industry. We don't get to control the timeline of the economy and all those other things that are going on. Television in the early years of my career happened to just be exploding as cable channels started to launch everywhere. And it was a very expansionary time in television. And I happened to be in my early 30s when all that was happening, which is when you're sort of at a peak to grow your career. So I had some great timing that was just hugely helpful. But I do say, people have said to me, and I say to other people, timing and luck and all that stuff, it's what you do with it, right? Like I can't change the economy and the challenging economy that some young people are facing as they come out into careers today. But whatever good luck, good fortune, good timing you do get, you got to maximize that, right? And not hope that it's what carries you, but that you actually carry it to turn it into something.
And adapt yourself the best.
Absolutely. Accept the situation and the environment that's around you, and make something of it, as opposed to just being frustrated by what you can't change.
Absolutely. That's very good advice. Did you ever face a time in your career coming out of university, or maybe trying to find the optimal path for yourself, where you were tempted to kind of throw in the towel and say, okay, this is not for me? And if so, what motivated you to continue trying and continue fulfilling your ambitions?
I don't think so. There probably were times I should have, or people that might have looked at me and said, boy, she should just really consider doing something else. Like, it's not that it was all just nice and smooth sailing with a nice sort of upward trajectory all the way through. There were lots of bumps and back steps and questions, but I just always kind of kept going. I think part of it is that's just my philosophy about everything. You just sort of keep going. You just every day you do the very best with what you got and bring your best game to it, and you just keep going, and you don't ever throw in the towel. You don't ever wonder if you can ever pull it off. You just go back at it the next day and have confidence that, of course, it'll all work out. And that was just how I approached everything. Now, I had huge challenges at various times that I look back on it and I think, like, wow, why did we ever think we could do that? But I don't think I ever contemplated just sort of saying, oh, forget it, I got to try something altogether different. No, you get up the next morning and you do it again.
Maybe that's the secret, the positive outlook and the kind of belief that you can achieve whatever you wanted to achieve.
Yeah, I think that is a huge piece of it. Plus, I don't think, it's not like I started 30 years ago thinking, oh, I'm going to be president of a media company, and then along the way went, oh my gosh, this isn't working out, I don't think I'm going to get there. I never had ambition for this job. I had ambition every day to do what cool thing was right in front of me then. Yeah. And I never really thought, well, I got to do this in order to get that, in order to get over here so that I can be there, so that I can be president one day. I just always wanted to do what exciting thing was right in front of me and do it the very best I could. And I guess I always sort of assumed that if you did that, the next cool thing would come along, and the next cool thing. And the fact that it landed to this chair is tremendously rewarding and fabulous, but I didn't only define success by this. Yeah. You know, success was just doing the best you could at the neat thing that was right there to be done.
Mm-hmm. And that can lead you to success.
Always opened another door, always opened another opportunity, always introduced me to new people. And people saw you as the kind of person that just embraced the moment and went at it, right?
Perfect, yeah. So the last time we interacted, we spoke a little bit about women empowerment and how they're becoming more and more represented if you look at TV shows or if you look at just business in general. So what's your outtake on that? What do you think? Are women adequately represented now in businesses, or
oh
do you
gosh,
think
no.
there's still work?
Oh, so much work still to do, but wonderful that it's in the conversation.
Yeah.
Wonderful that you would ask the question. Wonderful that, the whole, I think, our whole society is now talking about it and thinking about it. The whole blow up at the Oscars recently, I thought was terrific. Long overdue, but now is way better than later. I think we all own a piece of this. Current executives, men and women, own a piece of this. Young people, men and women, own a piece of this. I think we have to really embrace it all. Society has to decide we're going to support families so that both men and women can have careers and great careers. But there's a ton still to do. You just have to, it's like everything else I've done, you just have to every day go back at it, right?
Yeah, but at least there are positive steps being taken.
Oh, there's progress, and I actually think a ton of the progress is going to come from the young men, who I think are going to be way more determined about having balanced lives and having key roles with their kids, and that aren't going to be interested in the job that keeps them away from their family that they work at 80 hours a week, any more than women want to do that. Nobody really wants to do that. So I think men are going to play a huge role here in forcing businesses and governments and everybody else to start to treat everybody equally on both sides, in the workplace and in our opportunity to be at home.
Perfect. And so as you sort of gained experience over the years, the way you approached problems and tackled problems, whether it's personal problems or business problems, it definitely changed as you gained more and more experience. So how's your thinking kind of changed? How's your perception changed of different problems and different scenarios?
Yeah, you get, at least I think, one of the only wonderful things about getting older, because I run a lot, but one of them is that you actually do get wiser about these things. I think as a problem solver, I'm a way better listener in the back half of my career than I probably was in the first half of my career. Somebody said to me the other day, you know, there's a reason you were given 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should listen twice as much as you talk. I am a way better listener. I've learned it over and over and over again over the years that you don't solve a problem by yourself. You only solve a problem with other people. So I'm a huge believer in getting people together to solve problems and listening to what the problem really, really is and what the potential solutions are. Patience and persistence has become just a defining principle in terms of solving problems. Very few real problems are solved quickly. So you have to be patient and persistent at them. I mean, that persistence thing is about day after day going back at it, right? So I think I'm I'm clearer in what problems we're really trying to solve, and I'm more inclusive in the listening to help everyone get together to solve it.
Perfect. And so we're on to our final segment, and that's the rapid fire segment. It's not a very big deal, so it's fine. You just have to...
You're making me nervous.
No, not at all. You just have to answer really spontaneously, the first thing that comes to your head. So starting it off, first question. If your life was a book, what would the title be?
Even More Fun Tomorrow.
Okay. 3 things you look for in a new employee.
Warmth, enthusiasm, and just a go-get-it, love the world attitude.
All right. The worst thing about your job?
Right now, it's putting 2 companies together and downsizing.
If not Shaw Media?
The United Nations.
Okay. The biggest risk you've ever taken?
Having kids.
Okay. One piece of advice you would give to all the Rotman students out there?
Believe in yourself and just go do it.
Perfect. And that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for being on the show, Barbara.
It was my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.